What's going on, everybody? Godzilla Options here with episode 10 of the Weekly Watch, where we go over stock market analysis and trade ideas for the upcoming week, in this case, March 20th, 2023. Before we get started, make sure you like, subscribe, and follow to get notified when a new video filled with money-making opportunity drops. As usual, we're going to take a look at the economic calendar for the coming week, check out what the indexes look like and make some predictions, and then get into some of the setups that we're going to be keeping an eye on this week. So let's get to it. Looking at the economic calendar for the week to come, we really don't have much going on Monday or Tuesday. Wednesday is going to be what moves the markets, and that is going to happen in the afternoon. So I do expect there to be little to no actual price action going into Wednesday. Just a lot of consolidation until 2 o'clock when the Fed drops their interest rate decision. Right now, the consensus is 25 basis points, but there is also growing consensus for 50 basis points with the advent of things like SVB. The European Central Bank did the 50 basis points on their side. So, yeah, I mean, you know, anybody's guess is what could really happen here, but 25 basis points is the projection right now. So that is what is going to move the markets next week. Thursday, you'll have your jobless claims coming out pre-market. And then Friday, not really much action here. Bullard's going to speak at 9:30 a.m. They don't really move the markets much unless they say something incredibly positive or negative. Typically, they just talk. Powell is really the only person that really moves the markets. But that is the economic calendar for next week. So now you know. As far as what the bot has spit out this week for the weekly setups going into March 20th, there aren't a ton, but there are some that we're definitely going to go over in the charts to follow. So starting with the outside bar up, AMD just had a monster week. So outside bar, again, took out the previous week's low and the high and ended up as an outside bar, gave us some range expansion there. So you can pretty much look at this list and notice that a majority of them are in the tech sector. So tech had a great week. That is a fact. Moving to the two down continuations, AMC, GM, IWM with the shooter candle there. So small caps could be expecting more downside. We have Walmart with one as far as the weekly consolidation goes. All right, what do we think the market's going to be doing for the coming week? First, let's look at SPY on the month. We have it as a 122. So we have the definite confirmed RevStrat setup here. So what I'd like to see in order to be able to see some actual upside continuity here is to be able to have the month flip green. Now, in order to be able to do that, if we zoom in a little bit more, we need to ultimately see a week up, right? So here's going to be where our month opened around the 395.49.50 area. I want to see a move to the upside above 396.47. That would officially be our trigger for getting in on a weekly setup. And then what we also have is time frame continuity to the green side with the month. So if we move down to the week now and take a look at what's going on, wow, you know, I like that. That is a failed two down, show that the buyer stepped in. Now, the one bit of concern I have is we did get up to the monthly 50 or the weekly 50% fib here from the previous week and pretty much rejected it, kind of came down. So you can see what ended up happening here if I go down to the day, and all that pretty much happened on Friday here. So we had a pretty solid move Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday we ended up seeing pretty much consolidation. So the nice thing is that is consolidation. That doesn't mean that we had a definite move to the downside. Just a little bit of uncertainty about which way we want to go at this point. Now, this coming week, like I said, in the economic calendar outlook is that we have the Fed's rate decision coming out. So we could definitely be seeing a lot more inside movement going into Wednesday until a decision's actually made. So what you have back to the weekly is entry over 396.47 for the upside. That would be an official 2-2 reversal to the upside. So that'd be a 322. Our price target's going to be the top of this previous week, which is going to be around, just actually give it to you, 407.45. and that would be an upside play. There really isn't a downside play here because there'd be a 2-down continuation. But what I would be looking for is if you're going to do anything to the downside, this is the last pivot point that we had here back on December 19th, and that's going to be at 374.77. I'd be looking for some support around here. Now, what are these yellow blocks? These yellow blocks are order blocks, and I've put these on the daily to try to make them as easy as possible to read. So what we have is an order block. Now, this is the last time that we ended up seeing a big move to the upside. So here we go. So around the current weekly low of 380.65, we have an order block. Now, we did end up going down here on Monday, and we saw a nice move back to the upside. So to me, this order block still has some support here. And then what we have is a move. So if I were looking at the Fed's rate decision and seeing how the market reacts, hopefully if it doesn't react too volatile, it comes down to this 380.65 area again, and then show some support. If it falls through, well, then I'd be looking at some short plays for a longer term duration. Now up to the upside again, that 407.45, that is a bearish order block sitting up here. So I would be looking at hopefully reaching up to this point. And then if I was going to get a short entry, because we saw rejection around here, I'd be looking at an entry, underneath the order block after it goes up and then back in. QQQ on the monthly, we have a failed 2-down. We've already taken out the previous month, I should say, the 50% fib. So we have a high probability here for reaching the 313.68 area. That would be going above it and giving us an outside month. So that is what I would be aiming for there. I like this from a bullish perspective. Now, if we take a look at the week, here is 3. Yes, you heard me correctly. 3 outside weeks in a row that we have here for QQQ. That is huge. I don't think I've ever actually seen something like that. I've seen 2 in a row, but I've never really seen 3 in a row in the last few years. So this is definitely very interesting here. Now, I like this from looking in the weekly perspective here. So let me just go ahead and move that candlestick up here for the week because that's where it should be, and then down here for this week because that's where it should be. So what I'd be looking for is an entry over 309.15 and to the upside, right? 309.15 to the upside here. And notice though, we do have this kind of the monthly, weekly. At that point, we're almost at a triple top if we get up to this area and then show some rejection. So that is an area of concern I'd really want to be looking out for here. We also have a bearish order block on the daily that I've drawn. I'll show you that in a minute here. So that is an area where we could see things come back in and then reject, since we've already seen it kind of happen before. So there's definitely some resistance around this area, the previous month's high. But 313.68 is what I would be aiming at if I were going to be playing this long. So if you're looking for a 2 up to get some range expansion, that would be my price target. I wouldn't stay in much longer than that. At least trim what you have, get some profit, and maybe keep a runner if you have that kind of portfolio. To the downside, obviously you're looking at a 2 down below 218.19, so that would be the area to look at there. And then we have this pivot machine gun still that is in effect. So we're still kind of moving down, taking out some stop losses all the way back from, if you recall, the beginning of February here. So slowly taking out stop losses, not as quickly as a pivot machine gun should, but hey, yeah, that's sometimes what you get, slow bleed, so to speak. Poor DIA. It's been struggling just because of all the SVB and the banking stuff going on. So what do we have here? Well, from the monthly perspective, I should probably try to keep these levels more current for you before I actually make some charts. So let me move these here. From the monthly perspective, it was a 1-3 and we have a 2 down. So the month does not look that great right now. And then if we take a look at the week, Well, the week doesn't really look that great either. We had the previous week was an outside bar down, and we did have a failed 2 down. So this is green, which shows some potential life. That's always a nice thing to see. The broadening formation here, this is actually drawn back in December, it looks like, December 12th of 2019. We have come down here, shown some support at the base of this broadening formation. So we could be looking at a 2-2 reversal. If I did want to play a 2-2 reversal here, I'd be looking at entry over $323.71 for a move to the upside. That 50% on this outside bar here, I imagine that 50% or monthly previous month's low is going to show some resistance. So that's an area that you're going to want to make sure that you tighten your stop loss, trim some profit accordingly, and then wait for a bigger move to the upside. And then if we move down to the daily, we can see that the overall movement, it's sad, but it's not horrible either. We did end up with some consolidation on Friday. So if we're looking for an upside play over 323.71, this area would be my price target. This is where our bearish order block sits, all the way up to like the 334 through 35 area. And then we have a bullish order block all the way down here. This is, below the 300 area. So if you wanted to wait, see what ends up happening, I'd be looking to wait and see whether we come down to this area or not, and then show some support and move back up. But right now, I don't see a lot of great life for DIA until after the Fed releases their rate decision. Last but not least, IWM. Again, a very similar setup to DIA. It just hasn't shown a lot of life. We had a 2-2 reversal here on the monthly, and that is a pretty solid reversal. In fact, we've already surpassed the price target of 172.46. So what we are doing, if we look at the weekly now, is it's just a straight up 2 down. There was really no, and it's a shooter candle, by the way. So this is definitely an indication that we see more downside coming. The only bit of life that I do see here is this bullish order block that we're sitting in on the daily. Zoom out here so you can kind of see a little bit better. This bearish order block that we're sitting in, we've shown some previous support around here to be able to get a move back to the upside. So I'd be looking for a reversal, a 2-2 reversal to the upside above 179.26 at that weekly level there, and then hopefully we get an additional move to the upside to at least go to the monthly low, so that we can see some whether there's going to be some resistance here, or if we just completely pass through. There are some fair value gaps in this case. We have the fair value gap right here that needs to be kind of taken out and filled to get rid of those imbalances that we have in the market. But other than that, that isn't going to give me much life unless we do see that 2-2 reversal there. All right, the first stock that we're looking at today is MU, and here is where we stand on the monthly levels. So we are in the 212 pattern here, so we have reached it. Now, what I do like about this on the monthly right now is that this is has formed a hammer candle. So if we move to the weekly, let's see what is going on. Well, we've had a pretty solid pivot machine gun setup going here to the upside. So we wanted 5 or more consecutive lower highs. Yes, lower highs, higher lows. Lower highs. So here's 1, here's 2, here's 3, here's 4, 5, and 6, and even 7 all the way up here. So we have that in effect. So now what I'm going to be looking at is a 2-2 reversal to the upside, and we're going to start taking out these losses, or these the stop losses that people have sitting, or the stops that people have sitting here, all the way up probably to this monthly 50% fib that I'll be looking at as my first level of resistance. Now on the daily, let's see what we have to play with here. So if I zoom out and over, what we have is this pretty solid move to the upside this past week, along with most of technology. So again, the week high over 57.72 would trigger the 2-2 reversal. So that is coincidentally also going to be the previous day high this past Friday. Now, what we are in is this area right here is an order block, a bearish order block. So definitely want to see some pass through here here, but with this pivot machine gun setup, I do like this as a potential quick move through to the 50% fib. So I want to see this area just get taken out. Then that would obviously remove the order block, and meaning that there's no stop losses set above that area, that 59.75 area. So move to the upside, and then I want to see us go back up to the monthly highs. That could definitely happen this coming week with the Fed releasing their rate hike percentage, the basis point percentage of 25. It could also even happen if they pop it to 50. I mean, you don't know how the market's going to react anymore. As far as downside goes, there is a bullish order block sitting down here from this past week that got generated, just breaking the market structure with the pretty strong move to the upside here. So there's our bullish order block right above the previous weekly low. And if we pass through that, negate the order block, the next one down here is also where there's been some high volume. So we have a volume shelf around this $50 area along with an order block. So if we did get the two downside underneath 52.76, I'd be looking for a move down to the 50 area. Next up is PFE. I've had it on my list for the last week or two. Let's take a look at the monthly right quick. It is a 2 down month. Now, I did actually chalk out the month open here. That's the dashed blue line. I want to tell you why. Well, if we take a look at the weekly, what we have is an inside bar week. Okay, so with this inside bar week, we can see that chalked monthly open line there of $40.56. Now, if we get the 212 in effect here on the weekly, which would be over $40.79, we've flipped the month green. Now that would put us in full time frame continuity to the upside. We have on the weekly a pivot machine gun setup as well. So there's your first area, then your second's going to be there, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13, and all the way up here is 14. So we have a lot of just lower highs to be taking out here. So that is what I'm going to be looking at, a 212 reversal to the upside with PFE. Now, when you're looking at a 2-1, you do have the obvious move there to the downside. The initial price target is going to be the higher low of the previous week there of the 1 bar. So the low is right around oddly the weekly low of $39.26. But then from there, we just continue to kind of drop down. So I would probably be looking, if we do get a drop, move down to this area here, because that's a high volume node, and then over here as well. So 36.64 and 34.45 are going to be our downside lookers there, or price targets there. So what we also have is a order block at the weekly level here. This is going to be your bullish order block. So right now it seems to be holding as some support. So we're going to be moving to again the upside there. Anyway, PFE is one that I'm looking at strictly from an upside perspective, because I like the potential magnitude that we have moving to the upside here. Next is Walmart, WMT. What we have on the monthly is a 312. That has happened. All right. Now, the 312, this setup is already done. So that is the first thing that you need to know. The setup is done. We've reached the price target of the 312, and price started coming back around. So if I move to the weekly level, we have a 2-1 setup here on the weekly. So over 139.81, we're going to be looking at a 212 up, and then below 136.58, we're looking at a 212 down. Again, I see a lot of sideways movement going into Wednesday just because of the Fed releasing its minutes, the rate hikes. And at that point, I think that we're going to see some significant movement, and that is what I'd be setting up for. So with the 212 to the upside, again, over 139.81. Your very first price target is going to be the previous monthly high of 141.68. And then if we move to the downside, again, below 136.58, a really shallow price target of 136.99. Now, what can we do here? This is where things start getting a little bit interesting with Walmart. If I look at the daily, What we really have, and you can see it if you zoom out, and then, never a bad thing, be able to zoom out here. We are sitting in kind of this downward channel. Negate that weird thing that happened there, but it's kind of, we're sitting in this descending wedge, and what I do want to see is movement back up to this order block that we have up here, above the monthly high. At that point, if we do get a breakout, that'd be great. We're going to have to see some good retail numbers, though, to be able to see that. And as of right now, with inflation the way it is, and CPI and PPI the way it is, I don't really see, stupendous numbers coming out. But anyway, what I'd be looking at here for Walmart in the near term, especially to start the week off, since we're looking at the daily, is a 2-2 reversal to the upside. And that would actually trigger us into that weekly trigger of 139.81. So you kind of get like a domino effect happening here. Now, high volume nodes sitting right above that weekly high, the previous week high. So that's something that you want to keep an eye on, because last time we did see that, you can notice that there was some consolidation, but we did end up getting a pretty decent move to the upside from that previous area there. But now that is kind of switched from a liquidity standpoint to sell side liquidity. So keep that in mind too. Anyway, that is my take on Walmart. I'd be looking at an upside play, but again, with it being a 2-1 setup, it can go either direction, and that is what you're going to want to be ready for. That's going to wrap up this edition of the Weekly Watch. Make sure you join our free trading Discord with the link in the description field to get intraday strat setups with our custom bots. Also, remember to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and click that bell to get notified when we drop another video. Happy trading!